Enemy Alien, a documentary by Jeanette Lehrman, examines the story of Japanese immigrants at the turn of the century. Migrating to a foreign country, they adjusted to and eventually embraced Western culture in British Columbia. They worked with low wages and daily discrimination. Despite these hardships, Japanese Canadians fought to be accepted as Canadian citizens. But when Japan and the Axis powers aggressively expanded abroad, these events impacted them in their new home. Fearful of their Oriental neighbors, the Canadian government marginalized and segregated them from society. Now dubbed enemy aliens, Japanese Canadians, much like their counterparts in the United States, were confined within their own country in internment camps. This film tells their story.
When migrants enter a foreign country, they must decide whether to keep their old way of life or adopt a new culture. Japanese migrants were no exception.
Mr. Sato had come to Canada to try to keep the Japanese heritage alive. He conducted language classes, which kids attended after public school. But their future seemed to lie in a Western education.
The Algerian immigrant in France who contemplates violating the law to wear her burqa, and the Mexican immigrant who tries to keep his Americanized children interested in their Catholic faith face the same dilemma. Embrace the new culture, cling to the familiar past, or strive for both, hoping for the best.
It was still the age of pick and shovel, and Oriental labor was cheap. Thousands of Chinese had been imported to build railways in BC. The crying need was for manpower. No one questioned the shrewdness of employing Chinese and Japanese. True, they were protected by a minimum wage ruling. It was half that of their white fellow workers. Japanese fishermen were being recruited by the big canneries on the west coast. But early on, unions were protesting. With cheap wages and long hours, these Orientals are undermining the industry. They're unfair competition.
The neoclassical model of migration dictates that immigrants working in industrialized countries will lower wages for those already in the workforce, especially for those in low-wage professions.
Such concerns breed resentment, and it's not just among working-class Canadian unions.
Tonight, there is growing concern and criticism that the Bush administration has made it possible for tens of thousands of Gulf Coast reconstruction jobs that should be offered to residents who had to live through the disaster, now looking to rebuild their lives. Those jobs instead will be filled by illegal aliens. The fear is that New Orleans will turn into La Nueva Orleans, once proud city of working Americans.
Congressman Luis Gutierrez is pressuring President Obama to stop worksite enforcement so employers can keep hiring illegal workers.
Immigrants are taking away jobs from Americans.
Well, first of all, the jobs have already been taken from Americans. It's not that they're taking them currently. They've already been taken.
They took our jobs!
On the west coast of Canada, the unsuspecting fisherman was labeled enemy alien. While the eyes and energies of most Canadians were fixed on the war raging in Europe, on the coast there was the feeling that the enemy was within their gates. Who knows how many spies, saboteurs were sailing the coast under the guise of fishermen.
Waves of illegal aliens streaming across our border, joining violent gangs, forcing families to live in fear. And what's Harry Reid doing about it? Voting to give illegal aliens Social Security benefits, tax breaks, and college tuition. Voting against declaring English our national language.
Would I appoint a Muslim to my administration? I did say no, and here's why. But the reporter didn't tell you this. I would have to have people totally committed to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of this United States. And many of the Muslims, they are not totally dedicated to this country.
It's a good bill, and it's another tool for us to be able to use in order to get our borders under control. We cannot afford all this illegal immigration and everything that comes with it, everything from the crime and to the drugs and the kidnappings and the extortion and the beheadings and the fact that people can't feel safe in their communities.
Though about a very specific group and place, Enemy Alien tells a story that is one of migrants everywhere, the perpetual underdogs. Fortunately, this one has a happy ending. In 1949, Japanese Canadians got the right to vote, and today they are an integral and prosperous part of the Canadian society.
Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven. Justify